Yup. Yeah, it was as they requested. If I remember correctly, they actually just straight up asked to be sent to the Black Zone so that they can be always in combat. They wanted to hone their skills across the past 10 years. Unlike everyone else who just lived happily. What's up with the GIF? But thanks, Dylan. Appreciate it. And congratulations, Sam. Lamau going to fight some more. Yeah, they were like that. Yeah, the GIF? Yeah, I love that one. It's fantastic. So yeah, we're basically at the very, very end. The very, very end. Well, we know some in SF are so strong that even the wild hunts fear them. As like, the wild hunts actually sensed how strong SF was, and they're like, nah. So, they're super strong, but honestly, since Alva killed wild hunts with like half an ammo and also half dead, I'm guessing you're down all that in the first place. We don't want this smoke. Yeah. Alright, so we got 4 nodes left, but as Dylan told me, each one is at least 30 minutes long. At least. So it'll be that, and then depending on how much time we have left, I'm also aiming to end the stream early. But if I have a bit of time, I'll take care of this and then do some of the Elmo stories. Go ahead. Don't worry, Chris, I got you. I know. The body of the giant whale-type Bujin crushed the last row of buildings in front of the square. Concrete structures several stories high snapped like cardboard under its heavy pressure. The kicked-up dust was instantly extinguished by the pouring rain, turning into grayish-white mud that splattered everywhere. The earth was trembling. This wasn't a metaphor. The ground beneath their feet was heaving to a visible extent. Several cracks spanning the entire street had already appeared on the road surface at the edge of the plaza. Murky, stagnant water poured back down through the cracks, only to gush out from further away. New Venice was built on the sea. Its foundation was a floating island structure cast from steel and concrete, and beneath the floating island was bottomless seawater. If the giant well continued to advance in this manner, it wouldn't be long before the foundation broke under its weight and impact. By then, it wouldn't just be the plaza sinking, but the entire city. Yeah, you know what? Federico, you bring that up. I kind of wonder, not Federico, but Sam, you bring that up. I kind of wonder where's the air support. The defense line established by Lentine existed in name only. 2 armored vehicles were overturned by the Iliad swarm surging from the giant well sides, and the rest were forced to retreat. The machine gunners barely maintained their fire amid the bumping, but it was already difficult to inflict effective casualties. The soldiers were retreating. Not a rout just yet, but far from it. Fear spread like a plague through the crowd. Some ran, some shouted, some did nothing but stand in place, looking up at that grayish-white mountain slowly approaching. Stop running! Lentine's voice exploded over the comms channel, slamming into everyone's eardrums like a hammer. Fall back to where? Behind us are those big wigs and civilians who haven't finished evacuating. Do you want to be trampled to death by your own people or crushed by the beast? Omen Squad, move up and hold the line! All Monkey security units, pull back into the defense line. Compress your formation within the squad's central axis, or square central axis. You'll need to block that big guy. Just clear out the little runts around it. Wait, Lentine, wait for me! Roaring, Lentine jumped down from the cover and charged towards the chaotic front line. Behind her, the members of the Omen Squad followed closely as if pulled by her voice. But the giant whale was still advancing. On the surface of his body, those attached Iliads began to fall off in large numbers. Like parasites detached from their hosts, they fell into the rainwater and then madly charged towards the humans. There are more than double the number from before. Damn it! Lentine's voice comes from ahead. Standing atop a still operational armored vehicle, she fires her rifle continuously at the surging Iliads, each shot accurately hitting a head or a joint, maintaining an astonishing hit rate on the chaotic battlefield. The big one's as tough as a turtle shell. Conventional weapons can't pierce the shadow shell. I'm not blind! If you had time to complain, you better not think of a solution! I have a way. Alpha's voice suddenly cut in between the two. Lentine reflexively swung her gun around, but the moment she saw Alpha, her expression shifted to shock and alertness. A T-doll? I am A94 at the 5. Oh! Lentine's expression changed instantly, but Alpha didn't give her time to be surprised. I need to get close to it. Get onto his body. The body? Most of his body's surface is covered in carapace, but there's still tissue exposed in the crevices. If I can stuff a sufficient yield of explosives into the crevices and blow apart its structure from the inside. You're really fucking crazy. Even for a T-doll, this is no different from suicide. Do you have a better idea? Lentine fell silent for a second. Just 1 second. Gather all the remaining operations kits from the car. Take as many as there are. Adjutant? Cut the shit and go! Lentine jumped off the armored vehicle and strode over to Alva. I can't guarantee this is enough, but this is all I can provide you. Enough. I will find the most suitable position. Stop talking big, let alone how you're going to get up there. That thing is surrounded and tied by Iliads. Can't even get close. Which is why I need you to clear a path for me. Lentine stared at Alva for 2 seconds. This audit office doll of unknown origin, covered in wounds and nearly out of ammo, fought her way through the entire Iliad swarm from the outer blocks to the square all by herself. And now, She's proposing to climb on top of a giant Iliad that could crush an entire city block. Defy. If it weren't for the fact I have no one else available, I would absolutely never be bets on you dolls. I felt the same, Miss 19 of Omen Squad. Linton turned around and roared into the comms channel. Omen Squad! Concentrate on your fire! Clear the trash from the right passage in a half a minute. I need a 10-second vacuum. Remember, 10 seconds. Igla. You take the front. Block that thing. You are not allowed to retreat for 1 minute. Yes. Igla walked out from the very front of the defense line. Step by step, unhurriedly walking towards the slowly approaching whale-type Bujin. Her physical size formed a despairing contrast with the other party, yet she exuded an imposing presence not the least bit inferior to the giant whale. The surrounding soldiers watched her back, and no one made a sound. When she reached a position less than 20 meters away from the giant whale, she stopped. The shadow of the giant whale enveloped her entire body. On its grayish-white frame, those vein-like protrusions were slowly pulsating, radiating stinking hot air. The Iliads clinging to the giant whale's surface were also looking at her. Dozens of pairs of pupilless eyes locked onto this tiny existence standing alone before them from every angle. Then, Igla moved. Her body disappeared from where she stood, and in the next instant, she appeared right in front of the giant whale. Her steel claw-like fingers grabbed an Iliad's head, crushing it instantly. Immediately after, she forcefully ripped the Iliad off the giant whale, backhandedly tearing open the giant's whale body surface. The giant whale let out a dull sound. That was the first time it made a sound since it appeared. Several Iliads on the whale's surface lunged at Igla simultaneously, but in front of Igla now, they were as laughable as toys. Thanks for the chili? She no longer confined herself to performances with her longsword and short gun, but turned to pure violence instead. Her knife hand split open the Iliad's bodies. Her claws tore open the giant whale's surface, crushing Iliad's skulls, breaking Iliad's spines, and smashing open Iliad's chest cavities. With every sound of shattering bones, her movements became more fluid, more ferocious, and more unstoppable. The giant whale tended to keep moving forward, but after landing, Igla used a running start to deliver a fierce kick. The massive impact created a huge dent in the giant whale's body, even forcing it back several steps. Even without a matching size, she was capable of holding back a towering mountain through sheer force. If it weren't for her current lack of judgment, they wouldn't even have needed Alva to complete their operation. The road surface continued to crack, but she didn't take a single step back. 30 seconds. Linton gave the Omen Squad 30 seconds, and only used 23. The Iliads clinging to the right side of the giant whale's body were cleared out by concentrated firepower, exposing a grayish-white fissure-covered body surface. Kitty stuffed 3 operation packs into a backpack and ran over to Alva. This is all our stock. Hold the safety with the red fuse. You only have 10 seconds. That's enough. Alva took the backpack, slung it over her shoulder, and took a step towards the giant whale. The firepower of the Omen Squad formed a covering channel on both sides of her. The bullets acted like 2 parallel walls, forcing back the Iliad that tried to approach from the flanks. She started to accelerate. She stepped over the shattered remains of Iliads and the cracked road surface, every step splashing muddy water and black blood. At a speed unattainable by human soldiers, she brushed past Iliad in less than 2 seconds and arrived in front of the giant whale. The very next second, she leapt up with the momentum. Her fingers grab a protrusion on the giant whale's surface, and she plunges her whole body into the whale, formed like a nail. Beneath her feet are surging Iliads. If she lets go, she'll end up being drowned by the surging Iliads. She doesn't look down, she only looks up. Crevice by crevice, she climbs up along the giant whale's body. The tissue on its surface squirms under her hands, and warm, nauseating mucus seeps from the crevices. Ew! A few small Iliads that hadn't been cleared out darted out from behind the bone plates above and pounced towards her. Alba drew her pistol with her free hand and shot them down one by one. Finally, she climbed onto the giant whale's back. Through the curtain of rain, Linting's Omen squad among security soldiers formed a thin defensive line below. Iliad's figure at the front of the giant whale looked like a tiny speck of golden light, obstructing this mountain's advance with an unbelievable strength. And further away, Meade was still standing at the rear of the square, directing the evacuation of the final batch of civilians. Alba lowered her head. Beneath her feet, there was an area on the giant whale's back where the carapace distribution was unusually sparse. She had discovered this spot before proposing the plan. The tissue here was almost completely exposed. Its color was also different from the other parts, displaying a dark red, constantly pulsating texture. Like a heart. Or at least something close to a heart. She crouched down, opened her backpack, and took out 3 engineered demolition packs. Rainwater struck the fuses, but the delayed fuses had a waterproof design, evidently, as the second command of Omen Squad, Keeney's professionalism wouldn't disappoint. She stuffed the 3 satchel charges one by one into the deepest parts of the exposed tissue, pushing them inward as far as possible until her arms were also buried in that warm, squirming flesh. I hope this is enough. She pulled the fuse, and then leapt directly off the whale's back. A massive hole was blasted into the giant whale's body. Grayish-white tissue and deep red fragments of flesh scattered in all directions like a volcanic eruption, while a wave of high-temperature gas swept over the entire square. The giant whale let out a tremor, its massive body noticeably tilting for a moment. Large chunks of Iliad and carapace attached to its surface began to peel off, smashing into the ground and kicking up huge splashes of water. But it didn't fall. It merely paused for a few short seconds before slowly pressing forward once again. What? When Alva rolled off the top of the overturned armored vehicle onto the ground, the explosion's shockwave still hadn't completely dissipated. Her left arm had lost all sensation. The synthetic skin and metal surface layer burned when pulling it out of the giant whale's body were now issuing overload alarms. She leaned on her gun and stood up from the muddy water, looking up at that grayish-white giant shadow still advancing. Wasn't enough. Just in this instant, a voice suddenly came through the communicator. Eva, dodge! That voice was too familiar. It was so familiar that Alpha didn't even have to think. Almost the instant she heard the command, she fiercely rolled and leapt to the side. Next second, a low, resonant sound covering the entire squad suddenly rang out. The city systems that had remained silent ever since the alarm sounded suddenly all woke up in unison. Automated turrets, security watchtowers, remaining fixed fire points lit up again one after another. The turret bases emitted the rapid whirring sounds of mechanical resets, turning in unison to aim at the giant whale still advancing. What the hell? The next second, the entire block opened fire simultaneously. High explosive shells, armor-piercing rounds, and high-energy particle beams struck the wound of the giant whale's body, which had been blasted open by Alpha, simultaneously from different directions. The shell, which was originally as hard as a mountain face, finally exposed this truly vulnerable interior. The artillery fire forcibly tore open an even larger area of tissue along the wound. The giant whale body convulsed violently amidst a chain of explosions, letting out a deep, prolonged wail. It finally began to truly tilt. And then, it fell. The entire block seemed to sink downwards under the sheer weight of that massive body. The grayish-white wreckage smashed half the street, as the mist and flesh debris that shot into the sky almost completely obscured the entire field of vision. The swarm of Iliads that were originally attached to it lost their anchor and driving force, instantly scattering like a swarm of insects with a severed spine. Oh yes, target is down! Target is down! Purge the remaining Iliads! Don't let a single one escape! The expected cheers did not ring out. The soldiers were still continuing to fight. Although the giant whale had fallen, the Iliads, continuously surging from the sea, were still standing in an endless stream. And even if the system was restored, during the previous downtime, too many fixed turrets had already been smashed by Iliads, manually dismantled, or simply scrapped in the chaos. What lit back up now was merely the portion that could still operate. They are enough to take down a giant whale, but not enough to defend the entire city. What a load of shit. Valentine unleashed all the profanity she had saved up over the years today. Almost everyone, including her, realized that this was a war of attrition they couldn't possibly win. Until a new voice appeared on the battlefield. Wait, this is... The sound was coming from the east side of the square. At first, some people thought it was a roar of an Iliad, but soon they realized it was a man-made sound, the sound of an engine. A massive, dense roar of engines from heavy military vehicles rolled in like a thunderstorm from New Venice's main road. Following closely was the sound of propellers. A formation of gunships swept over the square, the airflow from their rotors blowing the heavy rain into streaks of white mist. It's support! Support has arrived! It's the Great Wall! No! That logo! It's the Lakota Army! The Lakota Army is here! Heavily armed soldiers quickly fast broke down, lining around the square and deployed their formations with extreme efficiency, launching a fierce counterattack against the Iliads pouring into New Venice. These weren't New Venice's garrison troops. Without a doubt, they were the regular army. Heavy exoskeleton armor, shoulder-launched missile launchers. Compared to them, the weapons in the hands of the Mongi security soldiers and the garrison troops looked somewhat pitiful. And at the very front of the convoy, a command vehicle slowly came to a halt. The door opened, and long silver hair appeared in the rain. Angeli stepped out of the command vehicle. Her silver hair was still eye-catching. Glancing over the battle situation in the plaza, she softly issued her first order. Echelon 1, spread out in a fan formation and advance, flanking from the east and west wings of the plaza, and suppress the remaining Iliads towards the coastline. Second Echelon, lock down all passengers leaving from the outer blocks to the civic square. From any direction, don't let a single one in. Air units, maintain low altitude fire support. Prioritize high density clusters. Under her command, the onslaught of the Iliad swarm was contained in just a few short minutes. a complete suppression. Those Iliads that knew Venice garrison and Monkey security forces have fought desperately to barely hold off were swept away rapidly like debris after an avalanche under the Cutter's force's firepower. On the square, Alva sees Angeli next to the command vehicle, surrounded by those staff officers and military officers. Her long silver hair waves like a flag in the rain. Just like an hour ago, no, just like the first time she saw her a few days ago. Imposing, domineering, and inviolable. As if all of this, the Iliad invasion, the bloody battle in the square, the appearance of the giant whale, none of it was part of her plan. None of it was her doing. Just like that, she hides in the shadows. All she has to do is toss a flame, then quietly wait. Once everything is burning bright enough, she can calmly step out and play the hero who saves the day. Alva felt a chill welling up from the deepest part of her neural cloud. That was anger. It was a cold, bone-chilling anger that made her entire system issue overload warnings. She took a step forward. Her identity, the scars on her frame, her mission. At this moment, she forgot almost everything, leaving only her anger towards that hateful woman. How does she have the gall to put such on an attitude in front of these innocent victims? She would absolutely not allow. Just as she was about to literally charge into the Lee Cutter Army's formation, a hand suddenly stopped her from the side. Calm down, my dear. You don't act like a good captain this way. Alva stops in her tracks. You're back. She isn't holding an umbrella, just sitting in the pouring rain. Her clothes are soaked, and her short hair is plastered to her temples. She looks completely different from the usually dignified secretary. She looks at Alva. Her eyes, amid the chaos of all new Venice, the overwhelming Iliad, the torrential rain, the gunshots, and the screams, quietly gaze at Alva, like the only thing still in the storm. Sorry, I'm late. No, it's thanks to you. Just a little bit more, and that Bujin would have. Unfortunately, only caught one flaw, and it only lasted 40 seconds before that fat pink-haired woman snatched back the patrol. 40 seconds was enough. We took down the Bujin, and the passage is open. They can't exactly close the door again. That'd be too obvious. Alva finally turned her head and looked at Agatha, looking at AK-12. You okay? Better than you. At least I'm not missing an arm or a leg. Don't look at me like that. We don't exactly have time to stand here tattling merits right now. Agatha slightly tilted her head, looking towards the Lee Cutter Army, who were cleaning up the mess in the distance. Yeah, the loose ends haven't been cleared up yet. Angeli? Alva's voice was practically squeezed through gritted teeth. I would absolutely not let her off. Me neither. Agatha, or rather AK-12, finally stopped maintaining that smooth, Agatha-like expression. What flashed through those eyes was a cold fury almost identical to Alva's. Let them be smug a little longer. Let's go, Captain. She gently placed her index finger over her lips. The heavy rain, the gunfire, the wreckage, the smell of blood, all seemed to truly fall quiet for a moment following this gesture. Our work isn't finished yet. Yeah, so I kind of figured that was 12. When everyone thought that was Anito, I thought that was 12. I just didn't say anything. Green zone, a corner bar somewhere. Somewhere! Above the bar, an old TV screen was broadcasting the news from the UNC Broadcasting television station. Citizens, we now bring you the latest development of the Iliad attack incident in New Venice.
ニューベネツィア竣工式にて発生した池袋襲撃事件からはすでに数日経ちましたが、ニューベネツィア市内での遭難者の捜索
Several days have passed since the tragedy at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the completion of New Venice. Search, rescue, and recovery efforts across the entire new city are still proceeding with difficulty.
事件当日
Looking back at the day of the incident, a massive number of Iliads broke through New Venice out its defense lines through unknown means and directly assaulted the civic square where the celebration was being held. Due to the large number of citizens gathered at the square for the ceremony when the incident occurred, this attack has caused extremely severe casualties and architectural damage. The number of victims is currently still rising. To cover the citizens' evacuation, the Great Wall Railway Defense Forces stationed at the front lines engaged in a fierce firefight with the Iliad swarms, resulting in heavy casualties for the troops. Furthermore, following days of search, rescue, and identity verification, URNC officials have sorrowfully confirmed that during this incident, several high-ranking URNC officials tragically perished while organizing the civilian evacuation. The list of victims includes the Minister of Precaution Engineering, the specially invited military representative, and several city councilors of New Venice. They steadfastly fulfilled their duties, defending the URNC with their lives. Fuck their names though. We didn't name them at all. The TV, which had been broadcasting solemn memorial footage, abruptly let out a soft sound, and the screen instantly went black. A skinny boy wearing a filthy hard hat had stood up from the shadows in the corner at some point. His finger was pressed tightly against the remote control, and his whole body was shaking violently like a taut bowstring. A slightly tipsy customer, his mood ruined, slapped the table heavily. Hey! Whose kid is this? Who told you to turn on the TV? I was watching the news! Yo, man, that guy gets around. Now he's in a bar? The young worker did not argue, nor did he look up. The shadows of his hard hat completely concealed his bloodshot eyes. He slowly turned around, stumbled to push open the heavy wooden door of the bar, and rushed into the night outside. The wooden door slammed against the doorframe, making a dull thud. The bar owner let out a long, heavy sigh. He put down the glass he was wiping, picked up the remote, and turned the TV back on. The screen lit up again, and the news anchor official and solemn eulogy continued to echo in the bar, as if nothing had happened. How bizarre. Why haven't I seen this kid before? The boss paused, looking at the wooden door still swaying slightly in the wind. A flash of pity in his clouded eyes. Child is a survivor who barely escaped New Venice disaster. It's said that when the disaster struck, he was right in the middle of the plaza, attending the inauguration ceremony. According to the people who brought him over, the foreman and the workers who happily went to see the ribbon-cutting ceremony with him that day, none of them made it out. He was incredibly lucky to get alive. The bar fell to dead silence again. The slightly tipsy customer also realized the issue with his earlier attitude, stopped probing, and just let out a soft sigh. I see. This damn world. Nothing good ever happens. A tipsy customer downed his drink in one gulp and slammed his glass heavily onto the table. Another female customer in a professional suit quietly set down her glass after listening to the owner.
Master, Ganjo.
Shadowless? They could have done your artwork better, but I'm pretty sure that's shadowless. Boss, check please.
Hi.
Looking familiar, miss. You're not from around here, are you? Just passing by. By the way, boss, about that kid. The female guest pushed the door and walked out of the bar, pulled her coat collar tight, and walked in the direction pointed out by the owner. Several days had passed since that disaster. People went from initial shock to grief, but under the heavy pressure of survival, they gradually returned to their numb daily routines. There were many spontaneously organized memorial events in the Green Zone cities. The ubiquitous black and white banners and propaganda slogans all demonstrated the massive blow this incident had dealt to the URNC citizens' confidence. The female guest stopped. She bought a white flower, bent down, and gently placed it beside the monument on the street corner. Engraved on the cold stone monument were many names she did not know. Judging from the appendant military ranks, most of them were soldiers of the Great Wall Railway Defense Forces who have fought desperately. The upper-level government officials navigate undercurrents and conspiracies, while the vast majority of ordinary people are forced to bear the cost, continuing to hustle for their shattered lives. She bit her lip hard, forcefully erasing this scene of that sea of fire from 10 years ago from her mind. It had been 10 years, and no one but she herself knew that for all these 10 years, she hadn't let it go for even a single moment. How could she possibly let it go? That was her only family. She turned and walked into a secluded alley. From deep within the alley came muffled sobs and whimpers. Hearing the approaching footsteps, the young worker jerked their head up and stared fixedly at the approaching female guest. Ask the bar owner. He said you might be hiding here. What do you want with me? Don't be nervous. I know you've recently lost someone important to you. Now you're on guard against everything on the outside, and you hate the world. You might not believe me when I say this, but I can understand. So? And if you understand, what are you trying to say? What I'm saying is that the incident in New Venice was definitely not a simple natural disaster. I am very certain. The young worker shot up, staring intently at her, waiting for what comes next. Although there isn't definitive proof yet, I managed to obtain the Iliad movement map from the day of the attack through some channels. The numbers surged abnormally at a specific point in time. Moreover, the speed at which they broke through the first line of defense far exceeded the military's estimates. It could even be said that they arrived directly at the outskirts of New Venice without encountering any substantial interception. So now, I need some true memories from a survivor on the front lines. I hope you can recall everything about that day of the ribbon cutting, or every day you spent in New Venice, in as much detail as possible and tell it to me.
辛いことを思い出させる
I know that tearing open your wounds will be very painful for you,
そこは本当に
but
申
this
し
is the
訳ない
best way for us to uncover the truth and honor the deceased.
真実を突き止めることが亡くなった人たちへの報いよ。
あんたは一体
Who are you? The female guest reached into her coat inner pocket and took out a business card and handed it to the young worker. The young worker struggled to make it out the font of the business card, stumbling as he read it aloud.
ロレンテレビの
Your NC Broadcasting and Television Network? Chief News Producer?
と
Shadow something?
シャドウ
シャドレスです。
My name is Shadowless.
肩書きは別にどうでもいいわ。
The long string of titles isn't important.
真実を追うだけ
Just treat me
記者に
as
す
a
るのは
reporter who wants to find the truth. Mange Security. Linting finished the lengthy due diligence report and arrived at the door of Krasov's office. The heavy solid wooden door was wide open. Krasov was sitting behind a large desk, happily reading through a thick stack of paper documents.
クラッソ様、ご用件は何でしょう。
Sir, you called for me?
レンティーヌ副氏
Oh, Lenting.
今はニュー
Oh,
ベネツィア
wait,
の
I should call you.
英語がいい
I should change how I address you now and call you the hero of New Venice, shouldn't I?
恐縮です。
I don't deserve such a title, sir.
何緊張するな
Don't be nervous, Adjutant Lenting.
君も賢い
You're a smart person.
ここに来た以
Now
上
that you're in this
腹を
room,
割って話
we
そう
might
じ
as
ゃない
well speak openly. Lenting subconsciously turned her head to glance outside the door. The office door was still wide open.
盗み聞きを心配して
Worried about something one overhearing?
申し訳ございません。
Apologies, sir.
以前、第三世代
Given that there was an infiltration by a third-gen doll previously, it's inevitable that I'm somewhat mindful of confidentiality. Krasov smiled dismissively, but still tilted his chin, signaling Lenting to close the door. As the sound of the lock clicking echoed, Krasov pushed the documents in his hand to the edge of the desk.
読め
Here, look at this. Lenting stepped forward and took a stack of paper documents bearing top-secret watermarks with both hands. As he flipped through page by page, a hint of shock and confusion flashed in Lenting's eyes.
これは
Sir, this is
つい先ほど
This is a draft version of the PMC Armed Firepower Act that just passed the UNC Council's approval.
細かい数字とか
Although the specific details of the clauses and figures still need further scrutiny, in terms of overall framework, you can treat it as a document that will soon have legal validity. As Lenting quickly flipped through it, Krasov leaned against his chair back and explained to her, his tone revealing unconcealable joy.
そしてこの
This Armed Firepower Act is being fully pushed forward from behind the scenes by the financial conglomerates.
その目的は
Its core purpose is to greatly expand and completely legalize the armament level of PMCs, while at the same time, granting approved PMC contractors quasi-military law enforcement powers when executing missions in the Yellow Zone. It's Girls from Line 1 again! You know who's salivating at that one? Griffin and Kruger. Kelly was like, please! Right back in the use bathroom. Elliot in the background fist bumping. In other words, from the moment this bill is officially announced, we would have a justified right to legally open fire on armed factions not recognized by the authorities. No more reporting up to the chain of command, no more tiptoeing around. And we, Monkey Security, will be the first batch, and the highest priority armed demonstration subjects after this bill is enacted. This is all thanks to your excellent performance on the front lines those few times, Lentine. I was merely completing my missions according to the organization's requirements. Kristoff waved his hand, stopping Lentine's modest words. There are some things you understand without me having to spell them out, Lentine. New Venice mission is partly your private employment mission with the Fobbin Group. You have a duty of care to Monkey Security. And regarding what exactly happened in New Venice, I won't ask, and you'll never have to explain to anyone. You must also always remember that in this world, the direction of certain eras is not something people of our level can control. Discipline your own people. In the future, I don't want to hear any rumors and gossips about New Venice coming from within Monkey Security. Lentine nodded slightly, then realized that Kristoff hadn't addressed her by her title. Please rest assured, my people are very tight-lipped. Excellent. From now on, your squad will be officially appointed as Monkey Security's ace units. Your internal clearance, resource allocation, and compensation package will all be significantly increased. However, since we are just a PMZ and not a regular army, your nominal rank will have to remain as adjutants. I hope you can understand upper management's arrangements. Understood, sir. Also, you don't need to call me sir anymore. Carmen likes that style, but it doesn't suit me. From now on, just call me Mr. Kristoff. The implementation of the new Act and the armaments upgrades will still require your full cooperation. We will likely be seeing a lot of each other from now on. Understood, Mr. Kristoff. The specific armament upgrades are currently being drafted by Carmen, but as a frontline commander, your opinion is also very important. Kristoff smiled and pointed to the document in Lentine's hand. Lentine hastily flipped the document to the last few pages. Nestled within the annexes of the bill was a blueprint for a heavy weapon of extreme complexity and destructiveness. This is... Lentine's eyes widened, as if she couldn't believe the firepower data marked on the blueprint's parameters. This is a heavy weapon of a strategic scale. Will the official UNC really agree to let the PMC develop it? Times are changing, Lentine. Every bloody war becomes a catalyst for human technological progress. Although it sounds pathetic, World War always promotes the development of first is weapons of war. We need greater firepower, larger calibers, and more devastating lethality. Everyone thinks World War III has been over for a long time, but the truth is, war has never truly vanished from this land. And now, a brand new war has already begun. Kristoff picked up a decorated dart from the desk and casually tossed it. It hit the wall chart behind Lentine with a thud. Lentine's gaze followed it, discovering that the center of the target was a city that had been repeatedly mentioned recently, LocalCache. There's an extremely dangerous ghost wandering in the yellow zones. That ghost is bringing a fanatical wave of independence and revolution to that wasteland. Commander, this ghost is also no acquaintance of yours, isn't he? You must believe in yourself. In this new era of war, that's about to sweep across everything.
君は本
You will
物
become
の
the true hero.
英雄になる
Lentine walked out of Krasav's office, closing the door behind her. The corridor was empty. Only the fluorescent lights overhead emitted a continuous, low-pitched electrical hum. She leaned against the wall, tilted her head back, and let out a deep breath. A hero, huh? She pulled out a cigarette from her pocket and put it in her mouth, but didn't light it. Just letting that unlit cigarette dangle slightly at the corner of her mouth, like some kind of ritual to help her think. The matter of New Venice just passed like this. Or just passed by like that. No one investigated. No one was held accountable. The ones meant to die, died, and the ones meant to be promoted were promoted. And I, bearing the name Omen, became the hero. She remembered the device that attracted the Iliads, remembered the densely packed blips swarming on the radar, and remembered Kinney's pale face before her. Remembered the Audit Bureau doll who, despite being covered in wounds in the heavy rain, still charged towards a giant whale. Forget it. She took the unlit cigarette from her mouth, twirled it between her fingers a couple of times, and shoved it back into her pocket. Excuse overthinking. Since I survive, I'll move forward. I want to climb up. That is what I want. Besides, everyone in Omen's squad survived. Supposed to be dissatisfied about. As for the rest... Lentine's thoughts were interrupted by footsteps coming from the end of the corridor. It wasn't a familiar rhythm. It didn't sound like the footsteps of a security patrol. With a hint of hesitation, off and on, gathering courage while stopping and going. Lentine turned her head sideways. Hey! She joined. Roberti was standing on the other end of the corridor, hands behind her back, pacing with a bashful look on her face. She wasn't wearing that slightly oversized purification engineering jacket from the last time in New Venice. Instead, she wore a regular dark coat, had no hard hat on her head, and her red twin tails hung quietly by her shoulders. A faint pink mark remained on her face, like a recently healed scar. What? Lentine recognized her. Of course she recognized her. The last meeting was only a few days ago.
Liberty?
Okay, I heard that clearly. She said Liberty. Okay. So I was informed that the correct translation should be Liberty. And now that I heard that clearly, it should be Liberty, yeah. Liberty walked forward a few steps, stopping about 3 steps away from Lentine. What are you doing here? I came to find you. This is the headquarters of Monkey Security. You're a civilian. I'm not a civilian anymore. Liberty pulled an ID out of her pocket. It wasn't a temporary apprentice engineer badge from New Venice, but a brand new Monkey Security standard employee badge, still warm from being laminated. She didn't showily hold it up in front of Lentine's face, but just quietly handed it over. Lentine took the ID badge and glanced down at it. Liberty is smiling in the photo. The hiring date is today. So now the question is, how old is Liberty? Written test? Physical fitness test? Interview? I passed all 3 rounds. Okay, she even passed the physical test. I mean, what can you say, right? about your internship? Weren't you in the school's engineering apprenticeship program?
退学しました。
I dropped out. Drop out. She said these words very lightly, but they fell heavily on Lentine's ears.
姉さんは知っているのか？
Does your mom know?
うん。
She knows.
こっぴどく怒られた
She's
よ
been crazy with anger and scolded me for 3 whole days.
でも結局
Age is just a
お母さんは
number of the
私は
casualty report. True. However, she didn't stop me either. Liberty lowered her head and looked at her own hands. There were a few new formed calluses on her knuckles, marks left from trying to pass a physical fitness test.
お姉ちゃんニューベネチアで私に言ったよね
Sister, you said something to me in New Venice.
眠れない時でも
You said the things that keep you awake in the middle of the night thinking about it
それが
is a thing you ought to do.
私のやるべきことだって
私がそんなことを？
Did I say something like that?
言った
You did. Liberty looked at Lentine.
あの事件以来
After what happened in New Venice, I haven't been able to sleep at night.
目を閉じると
As soon as I close my
あの
eyes,
広場の地獄
those
が
scenes
フラッシュバ
replay.
ックするの
Either it's rushing into the square, people running, crying, buildings collapsing. Her voice wasn't trembling, but she slowed down her speech.
あの時
I was hiding at the entrance of the evacuation passage.
お姉ちゃんの姿を
I saw you, sis.
怒鳴りながら
You stood up on top of an armored vehicle, shooting at those monsters, cursing and giving orders at the same time.
みんなが逃げ惑う中
Everyone else was falling back, but you were the only one charging forward.
そして地下から
Then that giant thing burst out from the ground.
お姉ちゃん
I really thought you were going to die there.
と思ったそれでも
But you didn't back
お
down.
姉ちゃんは逃げなかった
Not even one step.
お姉ちゃんの周りにいる兵士たちも
And neither did those soldiers by your side.
そして
Then,
傷だらけ
a
の
woman
女の
covered in
人
wounds climbed onto that monster and blew it up.
爆弾を食らわせたその時思ったんだ
I thought to myself at the time,
あれこそが本当にやりたいことをやって
they are doing this was truly important.
本当に
The kind of thing that actually protects people.
してるんだって私も
I want to do things like that.
お姉ちゃんと同じこと
Sister, I want to do what you do. She bit her lip.
ニューベネチアから帰ってきて
I thought about it for a long
ずっとこ
time,
のことを考えてたの
ever since I came back to New Venice, or from New Venice.
夜は眠れないし
Thinking about it so much, I couldn't sleep.
試験も
Spacing out in class during the day, getting called in for a talk by the teacher because I handed in a blank test. Yeah, she was down. She was down and out.
これが気づいたら考えてることなんだって
Shut up, Dylan. You're right. That's what I was thinking about when I couldn't sleep in the middle of the night.
だから来た
So I came here. The hallway was quiet for a long time. Only the fluorescent lights overhead were still humming. Liberty grabbed the ID badge Lentine handed back to her, her fingers pinching the edge somewhat nervously. Lentine's gaze subconsciously fell on her fingertips, waiting for that familiar rhythm. 1, 2, 3. In the past, whenever this kid couldn't make up her mind, her fingers would subconsciously tap the edge of the hard object 3 times. But this time, the anticipated subtle sound never came. Liberty's fingers merely hung there stiffly, clutching her ID badge tightly, as if a long-held habit had been forcibly suppressed, or perhaps a certain resolve had replaced her former hesitation.
ガキが
Stupid brat.
誰がお前の入社を許可した？
Who signed the onboarding approval?
カルメンって人
So then, Carmen.
あの甘
That bitch. Lentine handed the badge back to Liberty, then reached out and ruffled her hair like she used to. But the force this time was a bit lighter than before.
うちに入っても戦場に
Joining the market security doesn't mean you get to be on the front lines.
The
assessment of the recruit has to pass is 10 times harder than your engineer license exam.
分かってる。
I know.
ここは学校じゃない。
This is not school.
文字通り命取りだ。
Make a mistake here and it doesn't cost you credits. It costs your life.
それも分かってる。
I know.
それと
And with that little stamina of yours,
体力じゃ。
体力テストの
I passed the physical test.
結構良かったよ。
My score is pretty good. Linting sighed.
わかった。もういい。
Don't just stand around the corridor. Let's go to the cafeteria.
おごってやる。
I'll treat you to a meal. Consider it a welcome to the job. Liberty caught up with Linting's pace. This time, she wasn't clinking to Linting's arm, but instead walked half a step behind her, her steps steady. The two walked a few steps forward down the corridor before Linting suddenly paused.
そうだ。
Right. Hmm?
広場西エリアの
Back in New
タンク
Venice.
はどうなった？
What happened to those vats of solvent in the west zone of the plaza? Liberty froze for a moment.
どうして知ってる
You know
の？
about that?
事件の後、
After the evacuation ended, security submitted a report saying an apprentice engineer risked their life to handle a batch of dangerous chemicals,
それで西エリア
preventing
へ
the West District passage from being blocked by toxic gas.
名前は書かれていな
The
かった。
report didn't even have a name, but I'm not blind.
死ぬかもしれないと。
Running back to the justice zone at a time like that? You know you could have died, right? I know. Linting stayed silent for 2 seconds. Then she continued walking forward.
先に言っておくが、ここに来て
Let me say this up
勉強はおろ
front.
そかにするな。
Don't think you can skip studying just because you're here.
エンジニアの知
You
識
can't lose your engineering
今後いくら
foundation.
でも役に立つ。
There will be plenty of times it will come in handy in the future. Yeah,
お姉ちゃん大好き。
sister, you're the best.
うるさい。
Get off. White Zone. And the Legion of Doom. Zimmerman sat deep in his leather chair and didn't speak for a long time. The dim light made it impossible to see his expression clearly. On a large desk, several thick reports regarding the battle damage and casualties of New Venice, Ribbon Cutting Day, were casually spread out. Right in the center of these reports lay a device shaped exactly like a chip all by itself. It was the crucial Claudinet's source code. But at the moment, Zimmerman's attention was clearly not on those shocking casualty figures. Cocoon. Is there a final investigation result on Helio's side?
確認しました。
Your Excellency, it has been confirmed.
AK-12 は
AK-12 didn't need force to restart her electronic warfare module via overload during the outbreak of the riots in New Venice.
その信号パターン
That completely captured her signal signature.
それで
So,
ウイルスの拡散
therefore,
および
based
信
on
号
the
の
virus
減衰速度から
spread
見て
speed and signal
AK-12 の面
attenuation values intercepted at this time, it's confirmed that AK-12's neural cloud has undergone irreversible meltdown.
その上信号
We
源
also
の近
found
く
the completely
で
charred remains of Doll's frame near
発見しました
where the signal originated. Zimmerman nodded slightly, but the gloom on his face didn't disperse in the slightest.
つまり
So,
今私の目
the
の
thing
前
in
にある
front of
これ
me
は
is
本
real?
物だ
はい
Yes,
技術部
it
門の
has already been
検証で
verified by the
本
technical
物だという
department
結果が
as
出
the
ています
original without a doubt.
ログには1回の読み取り記録しかありま
Looking
せ
at
ん
the trace records,
これ
there
も
was only
ア
one
ンキューレ
instance of
準将
reading,
の報告と一致しています
which also aligns with Miss Angeli's report.
信じがたいな
I still find it hard to believe
AN94
the A94
本当にこれを
really
読み
didn't
取ってい
read
ない
it.
ええ
Yes,
その唯一
the only record of it occurred on
追
the
撃
night
戦
of the
当
pursuit.
日の夜になっています AK-12 がソースコードを読み込みウイルスに
That
感
time,
染しました
AK-12 read the source code contents and definitely got infected by the virus as a result.
彼女がソ
Judging
ースコ
from
ードを読み込んだ様
AN94's
子が
reaction
見ら
and
れ
the
ます
surveillance footage, she did not perform any readings action on the source code. Cocoon picked up the terminal and turned the screen towards Zimmerman. On the screen was the recording of AN94 trapped in the cargo, or trapped in the cage. In the video, Agatha was standing outside the cage, attempting to recruit the agent on Mii's behalf. Zimmerman glanced indifferently at A94 on the screen, then lost interest and shifted his gaze away.
他に知らせはない。
Is there anything else I need to know?
例え
For instance,
ば荷物の
where exactly did my goods go? A momentary hesitation appeared in Cocoon's movements, which was already enough of an answer for Zimmerman.
手がかりすらも
You can't find a single trace.
申し訳ございません。
I'm sorry, Mrs. Zimmerman.
AK-12 の
Based on the AK-12's final
ヘリ
actions,
に干
her
渉してい
explicit
ます
goal was to interfere with Heli's
ヘリの
operations,
記録にも
and Heli did
確かに
indeed
ほんのわずかな
experience a
空白
brief
期間
window of
がありました
downtime,
しかし、そ
but
の
that
わ
length
ず
of
かな
time
期
was
間
nowhere
に
near
あ
enough
そ
for
この
anyone to
門を
defeat the
崩せる
defense
とは
forces
思え
there.
ません
Even if the Defiance AK-15 could do it, she wouldn't be that fast. After all, Bluespear was also there.
監視映像を復旧でき
Can
る
surveillance footage be recovered?
難しいと思いま
It's
す
difficult. Heli's memory
そこだけ
regarding that
ヘリの
period
記録
is
が完全
completely
に抜け
blank.
ています
他のやつを呼んでこい
Call that guy outside in. That girl. The door opened and a figure walked in.
何か
What is it?
もうすぐ戻るんだ
You're heading back right away, aren't you?
ええ
Yes, Your Excellency.
そう時間は取
This won't take up too much of your time.
ただ
It's just, I have a batch of special cargo originally destined for the red zone.
それがとても
You all know the importance of this cargo.
護衛には
It comes with a dedicated elite guard unit.
万全を期
To
す
ensure nothing went wrong, we even secretly sent Bluespear on a trailing escort mission.
それでも数日
But just a few days ago, this batch of cargo actually vanished into thin air.
護衛の部隊は
All of the deployed guard units lost their ability to resist almost instantaneously, and Bluespear, who was escorted in secret, was sliced clean in half by some sharp blade, without even catching a glimpse of the attacker's face.
それは全部
All this happened right here within New Venice's borders.
これについて
So,
何か知ってい
do
る
you know anything?
あの地下に置いてったでっかいあれのこと
You mean that big lump of iron you put underground? Narcissus tilted her head.
知らないわよ
I don't know.
あの日
After that guy broke in that day, didn't you move it away?
したんじゃないの
That girl.
そういえば
Now to mention it, I don't think I've ever seen your weapon.
はあ
Huh?
ニューベネツィアに武器を持ち込むなんて
Weren't you the guys who-
あんたたちでしょ
The ones who didn't approve me bringing weapons into New Venice? Zimmerman turned to look at Cocoon. Cocoon nodded, confirming his statement.
なるほど
I see.
だから
So you came empty-handed.
それで何ここ
What else?
退屈なんだけど
This dump of a New Venice has nothing fun to do anyway.
アープ142
That piece of trash AP-142 flat out refused to hand me a weapon, so I had to punch crabs barehanded for half a day. My hands reek of fish. When I get back, I'm gonna use her to wipe my hands clean. Zimmerman stared intensely at Narcissus with an incredibly oppressive gaze for a moment before finally nodding slowly.
わかった
Very well, I understand. Narcissus shrugged, turned around, and walked out of the room as the main door closed again. Cocoon turned her head to look at Zimmerman.
ヘリに監視させますか
Do you need me to have Heli keep an eye on her? He shook his head.
あいつは荷物
She
の場所
definitely
を知
doesn't
る
know the location of the cargo.
そんなバカなやつにかまって
It's not worth defending the UNC government over a monster whose stupidity is written all over her face.
アンキューレ准将の
Connect me to the Brigadier General, Angeles Frequency.
かしこまりました
Yes, Excellency. Zimmerman picked up the receiver and casually clicked on the news webpage. The headline section was still churning out reports on the miserable conditions after New Venice's disaster, but the other sections of the sidebar were rapidly refreshing, with a series of subsequent changes stemming from New Venice catastrophe. Working! PMC armed firepower Act officially enters parliamentary approval process. Monk security elite forces turn the tide, saving tens of thousands of innocent civilians. Dilapidated New Venice requires tough heroes to save it. Sir Meade Quinn, appointed as Minister of Purification Project of the front lines, becoming the youngest ministerial official in UNC history. Red zone, unknown area. Hey, babe.
多少の影響は出るけど、荷物はまだ待てる。
Yeah, it's fine. Although the loss of the cargo will have some impact, I can wait. Caldwell put down her communicator. From behind her came light footsteps. So light it was as if the person walking had no weight at all.
お母様
Damn. Okay. That's quite the upgrade. Mother. Adarax's stature was already indistinguishable from that of an adult woman. The childlike essence that once clothed her had completely faded without a trace, replaced by a nearly complete, unsettling perfection. She drank her milk. Her face was delicate and well-proportioned, her features lacking any detail that could be called a flaw. The eerie crystalline flower that had once served as a restraint had withered away, replaced by a certain slow-flowing tranquility deep within her eyes. Her long hair, in a color somewhere between violet and pure white, fell to her waist, shimmering with a soft halo in the dim light.
そんなに焦っていないみたいだね
You don't look anxious.
必要なもの
So, I'm going to have to wait a little longer for what I need?
少し状況が変わってね。
Some variables have emerged outside.
かかるみたい。
It might still take some time.
そう
I see. Adaraxis responds softly, her tone holding neither disappointment nor anxiety.
待つことには慣れたのかしら。
Have you gotten used to waiting?
待つのは悪いこと
Waiting isn't a bad thing. In the stories you used to tell me,
聞かせてくれたお
the
話
most beautiful things always seem to arrive only after a long wait.
だから
She slowly walks over to Caldwell's side.
だから彼女を取り込むのをやめ
Is
た。
that also your reason for choosing to give up devouring her? Seth slightly tilted her head, casting her gaze towards the laboratory next to her. Sect. On the metal chair in the center of the lab, a doll slumped lifelessly. She wore her signature monocle, but the intricate and gorgeous dress she wore was now in tatters. Her eyes were empty and hollow, like a marionette whose soul had been completely drained. Not a trace of her former haughty composure and elegance remained. It was exactly Darcher, who had been brought back earlier by Caldwell. Yes, Mother.
私はもう
I believe I do not need the data and will of others to undergo change. In your words, I am already your most perfect creation.
一番完璧な作品なんだから私は私のもの
I belong to myself.
お母
I
様
belong to
のもの
mother.
でもある
あなたはいつも
You always deceive my imagination, Adaraxis.
待っている間
However,
また
while we
お
wait,
母様とおしゃべり
can I chat with you?
最近
I've
ずっ
been
と考えてい
thinking
る
about things recently.
もちろんよ。
Of course.
お母様のくれた資料
I read the materials you left me about what's happening in the outside world. Adaraxis stood still beside Caldwell without sitting down. Her gaze was cast afar, even though there was no afar to speak of in this enclosed space.
外の世界のこととか
Those dolls,
あ
and
の
the
人
human.
形たちのこととかお母様が
They
あ
did
の指揮
many
官のことを
interesting
教
things
えてくれた時
in the
から
past.
ずっと
When Mother told me
気にな
about
って
that
いた
commander, I had always been very curious.
あの指揮官と
The commander
そ
and
の
his
人
dolls,
形たちの間にある
and the others,
あの
those
とても
unbreakable,
硬くて
inexplicable things
説
between
明
them.
できない何かあれって
Mother,
何なの
what is that called?
何を知りたいの？
What do you want to know?
あの人たちの間に
Those
は
invisible yet undeniably real things between them.
それって信頼
Is it trust?
それと
Or
も
is it fate?
運命
She tilted her head, a motion carrying a hint of childlessness that didn't quite match her currently dignified demeanor.
自分の目で見て
Some things you have to see with your own eyes and touch for yourself to truly understand. It's sex.
もう一度指揮官に会ってみた
I want to see the commander again.
きっと
This time,
前回と違う
it'll be very different from last time.
いずれその機会が来るわ。
There will be an opportunity, Ataraxis.
お
I
母さん
believe in you.
の言葉を信じる
She's ready. She's ready to jump him.
知れば知るほど
The more I understand the ways of the world, the more I want to know.
あの指揮官
The commander. That commander.
何度追い詰められ
He has been pushed into very dangerous situations many times. Yet every time he is still there.
他の人より強かった
It's not because he's stronger than the others,
賢いという
nor
わけで
because he's smarter than the others.
なのに
Then why could he just stand there all this time?
それも全部
Is it all because of the grace of that goddess?
で
If the
も
goddess is truly
女神
omnipotent,
が全知全能なら
why in the world still
どうしてこの世界
not
は
as she
彼
wishes?
女の意のままにならないの
Oh, why is the world still not as she wishes? There we go.
どうして女神は
And why would such a great goddess favor only that one man? There is no covetousness or malice in her tone, only an sincere desire to understand something she did not yet possess.
会いたい
I'd really like to meet him,
会って
if
話して
possible.
みたい
Talk with him.
話したら
Maybe
わかる
then
かもしれ
I
ない
would understand. Ataraxis slowly tilted her head back. Her extraordinary eyes now seemed to pierce through the heavy radiation clouds of the red zone, through the walls of the enclosed space, and through the surface of the physical world, gazing into some domain that did not exist in a dimension of the present world. In that instant, a strange expression appeared in her face. A pure, deep-seated yearning from the soul, like a child catching a glimpse of the first snowflake through a crack in the curtains of Christmas Eve.
O43 が欲しい
I want O43.
あの扉を
I want to step through that
越
door.
えたいルニシア
I want
会ってみたい
to see Lunacia.
話したいこと
I
が
had so much to say to her
世界について
about the world, about life,
命について
about the things I already know the answers to, yet still want
答え
to
が
ask
出
her
ている
myself.
ものについてももう一度聞いてみたい
She withdrew her gaze and looked back at Caldwell. In those bottomless eyes, all the profundity retracted in an instant, replaced by the innocence belonging to a newborn.
お母様
Mother,
会
may I
い
go
に
see her?
行っていい
Her voice sounded very familiar. I want to say I heard it from Chaos Zero Nightmare, in fact. But yeah, she got quite the growth spurt. She is ready. I don't think the commander's ready though. That was just one node. On the other side of the reinforced glass, the sound of high heels came to a stop. Ancha opened her eyes. Agatha stood there, in an impeccable business suit, gold-rimmed glasses, clutching her signature tablet in her hands. Agatha pushed up her glasses and flashed a grin at Ancha.
よ
The intonation of this voice, the way the end notes rose, the unsettling briskness.
どうしたの隊長
What's wrong,
全
Captain?
然らしくない
That one look on your face doesn't really suit your style, you know?
あなたは
You... Ancha's words catch in her throat. Agatha looks up at the surveillance camera in the corner of the cell ceiling, its red indicator light flashing.
ピー
She pulls a face at the camera, sticking her tongue out, squinting one eye, and making a V sign with her free hand. That gesture was outrageously childish, and would look absurd and ridiculous on any normal adult.
大丈夫
Don't worry,
監視カメラの映像
I've already written the
を書き
surveillance
換えて
records
ある
here.
から今向こうで見えている
From now until I leave,
監査官を
the
説
people
得しよ
outside
うと
will
してい
only
る
see a diligent officer lady trying to persuade the auditor to cooperate with the investigation.
ここで起きた
As for
本
what
当の
truly
ことは
happened,
誰
no
も
one
知
ever
ら
know.
ない AK-12 そうよ
That's right, it's me.
とはいえ
Sorry, we don't have much time, Alva.
挨拶とかはま
We'll
だ
hold off on the rest of the pleasantries for later.
とにかく
No,
今はチッ
I
プ
want you to tell me
の在りかを
immediately.
教えてほしいもちろん
where is that ship?
本物の方よ
The real one, of course. Ancha stared at her for a moment. Then she lowered her head and slid her fingers into the most hidden lining of her uniform.
ここにある
It's me. She took out the real chip. Under the pale light, the patterns on the surface of the chip looked like solidified tiny scars, lying quietly in her palm. Agatha didn't reach out to take it immediately. She first looked at Ancha, then at the chip, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly.
いい子
Good girl.
隊長なら
I knew it.
こんなも
The
のを
captain really
他人
wouldn't
に
hand this
預けな
kind
い
of
と
thing
信じて
over to
た
someone
わ
else. Agatha reached out and took the chip. With a flick of her wrist, she produced an extremely thin data cable from nowhere.
何をするの
What are you playing?
やるべきことを
Doing what I was supposed to do. Agatha cleanly reinserted the chip into her interface.
待って
Wait, 12? Ancha lunged at the glass almost reflexively. Her voice really carried a hint of out-of-control shock and anger.
正気
Are you crazy? The one that think is real, it will...
ウイルスに感
It will
染して
trigger the virus and melt down my
メン
neural
タルが
cloud.
破壊
I
され
know.
るすでに一度
I've already experienced
経験
it
してあ
once.
るんだもの
Agatha didn't even look up. Her fingers tapped rapidly on the tablet's virtual keyboard. Her tone even carried a hint of infuriating lightness.
心配しないでよ
I'm not an idiot, Captain.
こんなところで自害するわ
Does
け
it do
な
me
いじゃ
any
ない
good to commit suicide in front of you?
久しぶりに隊長
Even
が
though
泣いて
seeing
る
you
ところが
bawling
見
your
られ
eyes
るの
out after so long is quite appealing.
残念ながら
Unfortunately, we don't have time for that right now.
まあでも
Don't worry.
優秀な助手
Not
が
only
ついて
I am
い
well
るから
prepared, but I also have the best
余裕
helper.
かもしれないわね
助手
Helper?
ええ
Yeah,
主権
a very excellent slave.
機会があったら紹介する
I'll
わ
introduce her to you later, when we have the chance. Data streams danced silently across the screen. Agatha's pupils reflected the dense scroll of characters.
チップの暗号化方式と
I've already analyzed the chip's encryption method and the operating rules of the program itself.
なのでプログラムの作動を誘発
Enough
せず
for us to copy its
中身を
contents without
コピー
triggering
す
the
ることが
program.
できるわ
We won't even leave
チ
a
ップ
reading
の
log
読
on
み
the
取り
chip.
記録を残すこともないこんなことできる
It
や
might
つなん
sound
て
easy,
そうそういないけ
but there
ど
are very few people in this world who can pull it off.
今の私たち
Fortunately, the two of us combined should be more than capable than 99.9% electronic warfare experts in the world. Ancha stared intently at the terminal in her hands. With every passing second, she felt her heart sink a little further. But Agatha maintained a relaxed demeanor the whole time. She even had the leisure to free one hand and give Ancha a little wave.
そんな目で見ないでよ
Don't look at me like that, darling.
爆弾解除じゃないんだから
Looking at me like that will make me mistakenly think I'm defusing some wedding bomb. Finally, on the terminal screen, the last string of characters also came to a standstill.
これでよし。
Alright. Agatha unplugs the chip and packs it away along with the interface. She looks down to inspect it for a couple of seconds, confirming that everything is fine, before handing the chip to Ansha.
後でアメちゃんとでも
Take
交換
this.
したら
Go buy some candy.
そのまま持って行った方がいい。
You can just take it with you.
それはダメよ。
I can't do that.
このチップは
You have
ち
to
ゃんと
return
連
it.
中に返さないと。
返す。
Give it back?
そう。
Precisely.
連中には
And we had to make them think they tricked you into giving it back.
あるいは
Or
返して
snatch it
もらわ
back?
せないといけないわ。具体的にどうす
You
るか
can
は
decide on how
任せ
exactly to pay it back. Agatha looked up at Ansha. The flippancy in those eyes had vanished,
チップをちゃんと取り戻せた
only
と
by
思
making them
わせ
think that they have already recovered their chip
油断させる。
when they've relaxed their guard.
そうじゃなければ
Only if they
私の持っているこのコピーの
don't know we have a copy. Well, this copy has sufficient power. Ansha slowly gripped the chip tightly,
できる限り自然に。
so I had to make it look natural,
私がチップを守れ
as
な
if I
かった
felt to
ように見
protect
せ
it.
る。
その通り。
Correct. After a brief silence, Agatha added another sentence.
それができたら
When she finished
ニ
this,
ューベネツィア
leave
離れ
News
ていいわ。
Venice as soon as possible.
まだ離れるわけには
I
いかな
can't
い。
leave. Agatha tilted her head slightly. She raised an eyebrow slightly, gesturing for Ansha to continue.
車列が襲われた時に
The small device
あの装
I
置、
found when the convoy was attacked wasn't an ordinary piece of equipment.
おそらくあれには
I suspect it's some sort of sonar device used to track Iliads.
そういう音波、
At least it's some kind of signal source with an unfamiliar function.
もしこの推測が正
If
し
my
く
judgment is correct,
財団は
then the
まだ
Nelson
ニューベネ
Columbia
ツィ
has likely prepared an
何か
even
企んでい
bigger
る可能
move
性
in New
が高い。
Venice.
それから
Also, that
地下に
equipment
あったこの
underground.
設備、あれは
That is not the same thing as a small device I found.
その正体を
Although
ま
I
だ
don't
わ
know
からない
what that is, but
詳しく聞かせて。
elaborate? I'm gonna get a snack real quick. Just 1 minute. Yeah, Batsu. I kind of figured that. That's why they didn't show her, because that was a pretty big reveal. The rain stopped. It was unclear when it stopped. Perhaps it was when they left New Venice, or perhaps it was even earlier. Anyway, by the time Alva finally sat down in a cramped, dimly lit safe house, the sky outside the window had cleared up. Sunlight squeezed in through the slits of the blinds, casting a row of slender specks of light on the opposite wall. The safe house wasn't large. 1 table, 2 chairs, an old terminal disconnected from the network, and a few unsealed empty supply crates piled in the corner. even among all the 5 safe houses, this one was considered exceptionally rudimentary. Alva sat on a chair by the window, her left arm hanging by the side. The burned part of her bionic skin had been given a simple emergency treatment, with a layer of temporary bionic patch covering the exposed metal surface. Her gaze fell on the figure opposite her, who had their back turned to her and was fiddling with an old terminal at the table. Agatha. No, it's AK-12. She stood there, her fingertips dancing lightly and briskly on the terminal's keyboard, her movements natural and fluid. From behind, her figure looked a bit thinner than Alva remembered. Hey, Beluga! I thought you had something to talk to me about, but you just throw some huge problem at me right off the bat. Well, here's something you were supposed to do anyway. Besides you guys, I can't think of anyone else suited to do it. My relationship with those old men is exactly great right now. Contacting them is still troublesome for now, considering this thing was lost in Javier's hands last time. It's also not very convenient to just find a random stick warehouse and put it in there. That's right, just why I sought you out. For now, I know an absolutely safe space. The person in charge there is definitely someone we can all trust. She wouldn't like us dragging that person into this kind of mess. I thought you didn't like her to begin with. That's 2 different matters. It also just so happens that the commander asked 45 to bring a message earlier. We'll probably need to be at this soon as well. However, according to the commander's request, it doesn't seem convenient for us to make direct contact right now. It would arouse suspicion. Don't worry, we don't need to deliver it to a car. I sent a text to Boy Messina. She will rendezvous with you on your way. You also don't have to worry about her. She can transport it back on her own. That's really convenient. By the way, how much do you know about the Great Wall Railway's forces station in New Venice? It's pretty much as you initially speculated. Most likely, it's that dragon's doing again. Oh, they died to the fucking dragon. Ripperonis. I didn't expect you to care about them so much. Given your current situation, there shouldn't be much that catches your eye, right? Not to mention, you and they are considered old rivals. You're talking about the ancient history. Right now, whatever the case. They fought alongside us for this long, so they're comrades we've shared hardships with. I'll settle the score for them. Us again, huh? You seem to have quite a strong sense of belonging to them. Well, we do have an irresponsible mastermind. Anyway, I got the item. Talk later. Done. AK-12 turned off her terminal and turned around. She looked at Alva, her eyes crinkling. Not in an Agatha-style polite smile, but the kind of curve belonging to AK-12 that leaves people forever guessing. Alva was a bit dazed. She hadn't seen AK-12 smile in 10 years, unless the one from before in the neural cloud space also counted, but she knew that was just her imagination. All set. Since we can't count on the people from StateSec for now, it's safer to deliver the goods into the hands of the person we trust most first. Just in case, I use an encrypted channel. I hope nothing goes wrong. Yeah. What's wrong?
さっきからずっと
You've been staring at me for this whole time. And now all you say is, yeah?
いや
You...
ああ、そうか。
Oh, right, I
さ
forgot.
すがにこの姿
You
に
must not be
慣れない
used to seeing me like this. Akito smiled and subsequently turned off the bionic system. In an instant, it was like someone had splashed a cup of solvent onto a canvas. Akita's face began to melt away. Ripples and waves started spreading outwards from the deepest layers of her muscles, and her skin began to soundlessly fade in color. The colors on her body became transparent layer by layer, like watercolors washed away by rain, revealing a completely different silhouette underneath. A wisp of frost-like fringe gently shook loose. It was a trace of winter frost unfurling. Her hair visibly elongated and faded, like frost spreading across an icy surface. The lines of her facial features also underwent a complete restructuring within seconds. The softness that originally belonged to Akita abruptly receded, replaced by sharper, more distinct curves. The thin ice melted away under the sunlight, revealing the true lake water that had always existed beneath the surface.
これでどう？
There. Does this feel a lot more familiar?
やっぱり慣れない
No matter how many times I look at it, I can't get used to that.
私は結構気に入ってるけどね。
I actually quite like it.
昔は
I used
た
to
だの
think I could
ステルス機
simply
能だと思っていたけど
turn invisible,
使い込ん
but the
で
more I dig into it, the more I discover the conveniences of this frame.
素体を変えるのがもったい
It
ない
makes me
と思う
reluctant to part with it.
アルバはどっちの方がいい
Which me do you think is better?
優しいアガサ
Is it gentle and considerate Miss Akita?
性悪な
Or the not so likable real me?
どっちも嫌
Neither is likable. Honestly,
可愛くない
you're becoming less and less cute when you speak now. Alpha smiled mildly, feeling much more relaxed.
笑っているところ
I haven't seen you smile like this in a long time.
何かあったの
What happened?
別にただ
Nothing.
ちょっと吹っ切れただけ
I just suddenly felt enlightened. Akito pulled out another chair and sat down opposite Alva. There was nothing on the desk, save for the specks of light filtering through the blinds, slowly shifting between them.
まあいいわ本題に入りましょ
Alright. That's enough catching up, Captain. Let's get down to business.
どこから聞きたい
Where do you want to start?
最初から
The beginning.
何が起きたの
What exactly
財団の企み
happened?
は
What is the conglomerate
あな
doing?
たは何をしていた
And what are you doing?
私はジラードが失脚した後
As you know, after Gerard's downfall, I changed my identity and went undercover in Zimmerman's secretariat.
最初はただジマーマンが財団とパラデウスをつないでいるだけだと思った
At first, I just suspected he was an important liaison between the conglomerate and Paradis.
でも実際は
Later, I found out I still thought too simply of him,
もっ
or
と
rather,
大きな
too
野
simply
望を
of the
企んで
conglomerate.
コードネーム
I discovered they were planning an operation codenamed Project Lullaby.
何それ
What's that?
折れる枝
When the bow breaks, the crater will fall.
オルログ財団は
Obviously, the Oleg financial conglomerate is not satisfied with their current status.
ロレン政府の各部門に浸透
They are attempting to infiltrate the government agencies of the Earth and Sea, step by step,
そうやっていつ
to replace this behemoth and become the true masters of this world, or at least, that is their plan.
過去数年の間
Including Zimmerman himself, over the past few years,
行
the
政
conglomerate
軍など
has been paving the way with money and influence, constantly planting their people in politics, the military, and the administrative system. Some are publicly known, but others are kept secret.
おそらく
I suspect even the government is unaware that some of those people are actually the conglomerate's
把握して
pawns.
いないのだから連中のデータベー
That's
ス
why
を
I took
丸
the
ごと
risk
コ
in
ピーして
copying their entire database.
丸ごと
All of it?
そうよ
Yeah,
丸ご
all of
と
it.
だって間に合わない
Because I didn't have the time to crack them one by one. Akito tapped her fingers lightly on the desk.
重要なデータは
Most of their
全部暗号
current
化され
data
てい
has
る
been
から
encrypted and encapsulated.
のんびりハッキング
And since I
なんか
was
していた
already
ら
doing that,
絶対
my
バレて
identity
しま
would
う
definitely be exposed, so it was impossible for me to sit there and encrypt it slowly.
だから丸ごとコピ
So I
ーす
simply
る
brute
ことに
processed it and copied everything I could take.
情報は後からでも確認できるけど
I can take my time to review it
捕まったらそ
until
こでおし
later,
まいだもんね
but I can't take my time to escape with my life.
あなたらしいやり方ね。
That does look like something you would do.
ありがとう
Thank you.
細かい部分はまだ
No,
読み
I
取れ
didn't
てい
have
ないけど
time to describe
計画
the
の最
details.
終目標は
I
ちゃ
at
んと
least
分か
figured
った
out the purpose of Project Lullaby.
財団の目的は
Its goal isn't just to prop up a few proxies, it's to systematically usurp power within the UNSC from top to bottom.
丸ごと自分のものにしようとしている
でもそれだけじゃ。
But this is not enough because
そう
Heli is
ヘリ
here.
がいるから
That's right.
財団の計画
So the most critical part of this plan is
一
Heli.
番肝心なのはヘリそれがやばくて
And this is the worst
今
part,
回こんな危
and
険
the
を
reason why
冒す
I'm
こと
forced to do something this dangerous.
に財団の手は
They really pulled it
す
off.
でにヘリに届いた
Alva's face darkened slightly.
コデネッツ。
Kledinets.
そう
That's right. The program of the chip, Kledinets. The sword that slays gods.
私でさえ
Originally,
この計
the
画を
existence
見
of
逃
this
してし
project
まう
was
ところだ
enough to deceive everyone. Not even I realized its existence.
最近財団が妙にプロ
It
グラマ
wasn't
ー
until
とシ
recently
ステ
when
ムエ
they
ンジ
started
ニアをスカウト
poaching
したから
programmers and software
なんとか気づけ
engineers
たわけ
extensively that they drew the attention of various parties.
でもそれが遅かったのよ
But I guess it was all worth it for them because it did indeed complete
完
this
成
thing.
しちゃったから
ヘリに使うための
So it was used to deal with Heli. No wonder. Because even you,
ヘリに使うため
Heli? AK-12 let out a cold sneer.
いやいや
God slaying.
神殺しって
Their ambitions are much bigger
そうい
than
う
you
意味
imagine,
じゃない
Captain.
わよ
まさか。ダンデ
Are
ラ
you
イン
saying they want to target Dan?
ね星空を
Damn
見て
dandelion.
丸子ってまさにこんな感じなんじゃ
How
ない
the saying goes? Like an ant looking up at the starry sky?
まさかここまで身の程を
I thought I was already pretty full of myself,
驚いた
but I never expected that they would be someone in this lane who could leave me so far in the dust.
私もまだまだ修行
It seems I still have a long way to go in my training.
何はともあれ
However,
子守歌計
the
画
fact
の
remains
最終
that
目標
even
は
though
ま
the
だ
Lullaby
達成されて
project
いない
might
かも
not
しれない
have
け
truly reached its conclusion,
ど一番の難所は
they've already crossed the
すでに
hardest
突
hurdle.
破されたわ
Ava's fingers tightened slightly. She unconsciously gripped the edge of her chair.
心配しないで
Don't worry,
まだ
Captain.
私たちがいるじゃない
Aren't we still here?
状況は最悪
Indeed,
だ
the
けど
situation is terrible right
まだ
now,
まだ絶対絶
but
命
we
じゃない
haven't reached the end of the line yet. AK-12's tones remained relaxed.
今回の財団の手
The
際は
conglomerate actually accomplished quite a bit this time.
自作自演の襲撃事件で
Through this self-directed act, they elevated a new brigadier general with real power.
ヘリを攻略して新しい
The fallen Heli also gave Monkey Security a huge green light. Now the firepower control bill has been lifted.
ニューベネツィアをぶっ壊した
With New Venice still destroyed,
いろんな痕跡を
the accounts have
もみ消すこと
become
がで
a
きた
complete mess, and any tampering they've done will be buried along with it.
実に見事よ
It's despicable, but also quite beautiful, isn't it?
でも相手が悪かった
Unfortunately, against the smartest of us in the
私たちの
world,
目はごまかせ
they still have flaws,
ない財団は隙を
and not
残
just
す
one. AK-12 held up one finger.
一つは
First,
私がすで
they
に
don't know that I've already copied a
知ら
cycle
ない
of coordinates. A second finger goes up.
もう一つ
Second, take a guess what the cargo underground actually is.
何だったと思う
バラクーダ。
もう本当に
I
可愛
still
くなくなったわ
miscute you from the past. Ava sighs helplessly.
えっと、
I don't know.
なんだっけ
What is it?
バラクーだよ
It's Barracuda. AK-12's mood instantly improves.
リビウで発見されて
The Barracuda node that was discovered in Lviv and largely should have been taken over by the military. Ended up in the hands of the financial conglomerate and was even sent to New Venice. They seem to be using this place as a transit hub, preparing to deliver it into the hands of someone from Paradise. In New Venice, there's a pipeline that has been long transporting various resources to Paradise. The purification system itself can serve as a cover for the accounts, because it is a classified project. On top of that, with a little more tampering, they can naturally siphon off resources and money meant for the RNC projects to feed Paradise. To pull something like this off, it's not just conglomerates, they need hands inside the purification project as well. That's right! Unfortunately, they caught me before I had time to dig out that person's identity. If I had a little more time, I would have discovered what they were planning to do in New Venice. After that, you were hunted by the conglomerate that discovered your true identity. What did you encounter? If you were just in the military, they shouldn't have been able to catch you. I wanted to ask you if you had any clues about that. Alright, to a massive dragon? What's the kind of Bujum, but much stronger and smarter than any Bujum we've ever encountered. I'll compile this data and footage and send it to you. You guys need to watch out for it too. Even a gorilla couldn't handle. Okay, alright AK-12, you can calm down. Even a gorilla couldn't handle this thing. They must have been planning the operation in New Venice for a long time. If you hadn't stepped in, they could have also used the chaos to send out the Barracuda as well. They still won't give up their wicked schemes. Bingo! It's a pity. I still feel like I haven't done enough. Given the situation, you've already done well enough. If Heli was under their control, I couldn't imagine the consequences. But how did you manage to transport the Barracuda away? The operation on the day of the ribbon cutting was a massive gamble for them as well. I really rode on the coattails of their own momentum. How can it not be considered the bitter fruit of their own making? Besides, I have Friday to help me. Friday? I'll explain it to you in detail when I get the chance later. I temporarily, well, haven't figured out how to deal with it yet. In this operation, besides conglomerates, there was at least one military member and one URNC high-ranking official involved. This isn't even considering the role Paradise played. They reaped the benefits and reputation while the cost was all dumped on URNC, the people, and the Great Wall River Defense Forces. Alva clenches her fist. The defense forces couldn't have put up no resistance at all. The only way the current situation could occur is if they have an attack beforehand, just to set up the stage for their show. Not only that, even afterwards, they can shift the blame and attribute the riots to the defense forces' poor garrisoning. What a calculated move. If I had left a little later, I might have been able to stop them. At least they wouldn't have. Rest assured, this matter won't end so easily. We'll make them pay the price, no matter how long it takes. Very well. The two fell into a brief silence. The light spot on the desk moved another short distance. Alright, now for the funner part of business. AK-12's tone changed, not becoming more serious but more lighter. It was like she was saying the most ordinary thing, but Alva knew that the more 12 spoke in this tone, the more complicated things really were.
財団は今回
This matter definitely won't end just here.
ものを押し上げた。でもこれで満
They've
足
done
する
so
はず
much,
がない。
elevating so many people to power.
議会で可決
They
され
certainly
た法案
won't
の
be satisfied with
内
just
容で
this. The firepower act that Monkey Security fought for, it's easy to guess what they're going to do next.
バラクーダのこと
Moreover,
そう
regarding the
簡単に
death of
諦めて
Barracuda,
くれないだろうしね。
I think they probably won't let it go easily either. Okay?
そしてニューベネツィアの
What happened in New Venice
関わってい
doesn't
るのは
just involve the
オルログ財団
financial
だけ
conglomerates.
じゃない。ハキリ隊の暗
The
記
Leaf Code forces under Angeli's command and her influence and the military following the
そ
incident,
してヘリと
the true identity and intentions of the UNT official supporting them, Haley's situation,
本来保安局
the
と
Pike
軍に管理さ
was
れている
supposed to be
はずの
guarded
バ
by
ラクー
State
ダ
Sec
が
and the
持ち出され
military,
たことと
was stolen without a
パラ
trace,
デウスが未だにバ
and
ラクー
Paradise's
ダを狙
purpose
っている
for obtaining the Pike. All these clues are
複雑な
intertwined,
事情がありそうな
pulling together a massive web
指揮官を守って
to protect the
こいつ
commander
らをしばき
and also
倒すに
teach
は
these people a harsh lesson.
まだまだ
Just
必要な
one
ものが
copy
ある
of one Barracuda node is far from enough.
ロレンは
Next,
今回の件を
the
きっかけ
UNC
に
will
大
definitely
きく揺れ
experience
る
severe
ことになる
tremors due to the incident in New Venice.
危険は大きいけど
Tremors will create a
その
massive
分
amount
チ
of
ャンスも大
opportunities
きい
and also a massive amount of danger.
私はこのまま単独行
I'm
動
going
を
to
続け
continue
る
staying out here.
こんな
This time,
そう簡単に
I won't
失
be
敗
easily
しない
exposed again.
ネーレにもう一台
Have Nell
フタを用意してもらって
help
ちょうだ
me
い
build another
前
center.
のやつよりも高
Even
性能
better than the
な
last
方がいい
one.
わもっと情報を
I will
集め
continue to gather intelligence and accumulate marketing chips
それはいつか
for
必
us
ず
and for the commander,
指揮官や私た
striving
ちの
for
武器になる
as much capital as possible to be able to bring to the table later.
つまり
So,
まだしばらく戻ってくる
you don't plan on coming back for the time being?
しばらくはね
Not for the time being.
だからそんな目で見ない
Don't look at
で
me like that. It's
根
not
性
like I'm
の
going
別
out
れ
to
じゃない
die.
んだからこれは
It's just that someone has to do the dirty work.
別にそんな目で見ていない
I'm not looking at you in any particular way.
見ているわよ
Yes, you are.
10年前
Your expression right now is exactly the same 10 years ago
話した時と同じ
when I told you I was going to act alone.
わかると言いつつ
Saying you
本当は
understand on the
心配してい
outside,
るんでしょ
but actually you're worried and reluctant to let me go.
ただ
I just think you could be a great help if you stayed by our side.
これは RPK-16
Is anything RPK-16 taught me?
卑怯な奴に
Is that despicable people have their own despicable uses.
私たちの相手
Our
は
opponent,
この世に
opponents are
一番
very
卑
likely
怯な奴かもし
the
れない
most despicable people in the world.
だから私も
So I had no
同
choice
じ
but
卑
to lower
怯
my
な
own
奴にな
standards
って相
and
手す
step
るし
into the ring with them. Alva looked at AK-12 with slight astonishment.
それ
You
RPK-16 のこと
You
を
haven't mentioned RPK-16 in a long
久しぶり
time.
に聞いた
AK-12 blinked, stood up, and walked over to the window. She reached out and parted one of the blinds. Sunlight streamed through the gap, casting a bright line of light on her face.
それより AN94
Saying this matter for now, 94? Yes?
私には私のやるべき
I
こと
have
が
things
あ
I
る
need to
し
do,
あな
and
た
you
に
have
は
your
あ
own
なたの任
missions.
務がある
You need to be by the commander's side, by Formasin's side, on the Elmo.
指揮官のことも
Take care of
ボイマスティの
Anna,
ことも
Nell, and the
そ
others.
してアンナやネ
Be
ーレ
careful
たち
not to let the people
ちゃ
from
んと面
stateside
倒を
trip
見
us
てあ
up.
げて
Tsuki and the old
それ
men
から
behind him
保安
aren't
局の
necessarily
連中
reliable
にも
either.
気をつけてゼリンスキーの奴らをあんま頼っちゃダメよ戻ったら知っていることを全部指揮官に教
When we
えて
get back, I will report everything I know truthfully to the commander. All of it, without hiding anything.
もともとそうするつもり
I was planning to do that anyways.
それにしても
So why did you suddenly start breaking up
さっき
Nadia
言ったフ
again?
ライデーって
Does it have to do with
もしか
Friday?
してナーガと何か関係あるの
ほらやだやっぱ
Oh, how annoying. Could you dial it back a decade?
こんな風に育てたのはあなた
I'm really sorry, but unfortunately, you were the one who personally molded me into what I am today.
先生が優秀だから
If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too excellent of a teacher. AK-12 let go of the window blinds and turned around. Sunlight shone in from behind her, outlining her silhouette into a backlit shadow. Her eyes couldn't be seen clearly, but Alva knew she was smiling. Alright, I promise. When I feel the time is right, or rather, when I figure it out, I will report to you, Captain. As for right now, there's one more thing. What? After you get back, remember to tell Vomistina, Simbreaker, is just too ugly. Please ask her to not lower our average standards anymore. At least get a normal coding for it, okay? I'll pass it along. Subsequently, there was another silence. The silence between the two was like a cup of tea left to cool, possessing just the right temperature. No matter what you're doing out there, no matter what identity you use, no matter how far away you are, as long as you need me, I can be in position at any time. Just like this time. It is my duty to support you. Wrong. What? Right now, you are our captain. Everything I do is support you, not the other way around. When I handed this position over to you 10 years ago, I said it. You no longer need to stand behind anyone. I trust you. I think you do a better job than I did. That's why I handed my duties over to you. Not because I thought it would be more convenient this way, or for any other reason. However, AK-12 tilted her head, revealing that elusive smile. I'm still very grateful that the captain would especially go out of her way to help me, considering I really needed support this time. Please continue to do me little favors like this occasionally in the future. It's a way to manage your subordinates, right? Understood. I never thought so before, but after our position switched, I just realized, 12, your glib and smooth-talking side is quite a headache. This is more like me. To think I've been a walling bitter recipient for a decade. Really ever smiling. It really was a waste of my pretty face. Ah, that's right. I think the name Coleta suits me quite well. Let's keep calling me that for a while. Alright. Alpha nodded and didn't ask for a reason, simply standing up in silence. She walked over to AK-12, walking right in front of Coleta, and extending her right hand. She rested her hand gently on Coleta's shoulder. Take care, Coleta. Coleta looked down at the hand on her shoulder. Then, she raised her hand and placed it on Alva's shoulder in the exact same manner. You too, Captain. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, casting two side-by-side shadows on the wall in a safe house. Those two shadows quietly overlapped for a moment, and then slowly separated. Let me in! Technically, we saw her all the time, because she was acting it the whole time. Alright, you ready for 2 hours of cutscenes? Shortly after the New Venice incident, Makosh. It looks fucked up. The hot wind of the Yellow Zone blew in through the breaches of the urban area, carrying a scent of ash, rust, and lingering gunpowder smoke. The bustling square was packed with people, like pigs waiting to be slaughtered. Heavily armed monkey security soldiers guarded every entry and exit passage, ensuring no one could escape their sights. The temporarily erected platform was very crude, but Linting didn't care. The short and piercing blast of static noise from the speaker cut off the clamor of the crowd. Looking at the dense sea of people, she realized she wasn't as expectant as she thought she would be. Perhaps it's because she hasn't reached her ultimate goal yet. I, Linting, captain of Monkey Security's Omen Squad, will officially serve as the mayor, chief executive, and general military commander of Makosh. Effective immediately, starting now. Silence. You don't have to accept me. I also don't need you to accept me. You only need to remember one thing. From today on, the rules here, the rules of Makosh, will change a bit. Still silence. For the past few months, you've been deceived for too long. He made you believe that you could survive by relying on the so-called unity, by relying on so-called freedom, by relying on so-called conviction. And the result? She didn't wait for an answer. She didn't need an answer. The answer was in the ruins beneath her feet. The walls, the broken walls and debris her own artillery fire had blasted apart as far as she could see. The result is that you betrayed the conglomerate and turned yourselves into targets, and turned the city into a problem, betting your children, your granaries, and your water sources entirely on a stranger. She raised her hand, and at the same time, the screen behind her that was originally used for the speech abruptly began broadcasting an astonishing footage. So it already happened. Some of them had seen the thing on the screen before, or rather, that vehicle on the screen. Covered in scars, looking like it had just experienced a bloody battle. It was the Elmo seemingly having lost his functions. I know, so many of you, especially those idiots who think they can hold us off. This mobile base was like a chariot of a war god straight out of a myth, like your savior. Do you think that just because you have this vehicle, you rat-tag bunch can actually beat me? Beat the conglomerate? You think you can match the firepower of Monkey Security and the military, with just a scrap metal in your hands and a few dolls? Leave the dreaming for your dreams. There are no gods in this world, and no such thing as miracles. For you all to delusionally think you can oppose us is nothing but a mantis trying to stop a chariot. A mere land battleship is just trash that can be crushed with a snap of the fingers in the face of Monkey Security and the military. Now, it has been completely destroyed by us. The forces it carried will never be able to support you again. They couldn't even save themselves. So, you ignorant fools still continuing to resist? You dull rats in the sewers? You better think carefully. Is it worth throwing your lives away for some illusory ideal? Don't you find it absurd and childish to believe that so-called heroes can bring you hope and justice? If you come to your senses now and pull back from the brink, we can still show you leniency. There are only two conditions. First, obey the conglomerate's arrangements. Second, hand that over to me. Dead or alive. Rebels, the Elmo's accomplices, remnants of the Prometheans, or anyone else with foolish ideas, you're welcome to try putting your foolishness into actions. I've been worried about not being able to find you. Past, present, future. Mokosh will only be the conglomerate. Mokosh will only belong to the conglomerate. And right now, I am the will of the conglomerate. I want the commander! Thank God it's short! And before it's an AI generated video. It is a little strange, for sure. It is very strange, for sure. The way how it's presented. Can it be fake? Honestly, what I'm thinking is that it's the same video that was on the live stream, with no changes whatsoever. I was actually expecting a much larger cutscene for that. So yeah, there's definitely something off about it. Yeah, I'm starting to think that live stream might have gave too much away. They should not have shown off that that cutscene, because now it feels like it's trying too hard, and I'm questioning if that actually happened or not. Because all we know is that some time passed, and since a good amount of time passed, and we're seeing like the results and not like the actual process, they're definitely trying to hide something. So I can't say I am quite believe the Elmo was destroyed, but if the Elmo actually is destroyed, I wouldn't really mind that. It's just that at the moment, with the way how they presented things, it feels off. Using it heavily as ChatGPT. Am I missing one? Ah, this one.
次の目標を教えてください。
Dude, I miss Quiznos. Quiznos has such good subs. Damn. Do you think it's time for the Commander and Lin team to meet? It seems to be reaching that point because it seems that Lin team is now under direct command of the conglomerate. And we already know that they had a plan for the Commander in the first place, the conglomerate, I mean. They had a plan for him. And the plan was that, well, if actually Monkey Security was already trying to kill the Commander in the first place. Way back when, if you remember, during Cinerace's event, when they sent basically a lot of Monkey Security to attack the Yelmo. So they've been targeting him for a super long time. And now that they have the authority to attack whoever the fuck they want in the Yellow Zone, of course they're going to use it on the Commander. So I'm actually really sure that the Commander got a heads up. Let me go ahead and... Oh, this was not the one. There it is. Alright, I'm not going to read all of this. Just want to see if there's anything interesting. Andre Schneider, result confirmed dead. This is an operation result cross-validation report. Oh, that's his name? Andre Schneider, the fat guy? So they did give him a name, they just put it in the documents. That's funny. Man, they're really laying on thick that he was fat as fuck. Yeah, okay. That's whatever. Nothing to use there. Nicholas Romano. Let's see. This was a URNC representative. Nicholas Romano. Alright, his body was chopped into small pieces and was hidden inside a few scrapped frame dolls. Recover the frames at the scene, and don't let the URNC find those robots. Okay. I mean, that's fucked up, but I can't say that's abuse. AK-12 confirmed scrap, which is incorrect. Yeah, they said it was a neural meltdown, so this is not news. Okay, nothing's important here. We already know that's a lie. Iliad cluster. Oh no, they found me, and he's dead. Okay. So, Hyena died here, I guess. Who do I think killed the Blue Spear? There can be some thoughts there. The fact that Narcissus didn't do anything against the whale Iliad during the time, or was not even in the area at all. That is one thing to question, and that could lead to Narcissus. But Narcissus is also retarded, so I actually agree with Zimmerman that she can be actually super stupid. Yeah, as far as Nidos are concerned, we know Narcissus is alive, Grig is alive, Gray is technically alive. That really depends on if she was upgraded to have sentience, because she could very well not have sentience still, and just still be used as a weapon, or just shut down still. And then there's Taureus. And if it counts, Alina. So 4 Nidos, I want to say. Agatha is... actual Agatha is a human. The Agatha that was impersonating her was AK-12, Kaleda. Morning Sun. Pepe Le Pew has... Oh no! No, it's the Garrison boys. It's the Garrison boys. Okay, and we're getting into Angeli. Yeah, it's saying here that Angeli, basically she has like too much backing her. She had like a whole faction behind her that basically insta promote her, even though she didn't have all of the skill and expertise that this dude has. Jason, his name is Jason. The UNC? No, the conglomerate is backing her. I mean, there's a reason why she has all that firepower. Met Mead. And we know Mead is kind of an asshole now. Right, Jason became a counselor and got moved into New Venice. Everyone who connected to him died, basically. And the Audit Bureau locked onto me immediately. All the evidence in their hands points to the— ah, he was scapegoated! So basically, he took an offer from the conglomerate, got into a high-ranking position, and then he was scapegoated. So that the audit that came in to try to find what the fuck was going on in New Venice, it all pointed to him, to this guy Jason. This is basically explaining why the auditors didn't do anything. They got pointed to the wrong direction. Alright. I mean, that's good. So, this one was useful, the other one was not, honestly. Alright, so overall, part 1's pretty good. I enjoyed reading it. Like I said yesterday, there were some issues that I have with the part, but they're ultimately nitpicks, so I'm not really going to get into them. I'm really curious on what 1.5 is going to be about. And I'm also really curious on why they did that time skip, basically, where Monkey Security is already basically dominating the yellow zone, and they went straight for Makosh. Really curious on why they did that time skip. Obviously, it's for intrigue, because we're gonna go back in time for sure to see how this came out the way it is. But I'm not fully convinced that the MO is destroyed. But if it is, I wouldn't mind it. In fact, I think it'd be a good change of pace. I'm mostly curious on what the commander is going to do if the MO is destroyed. Because at that point, he wouldn't really have any transportation for his huge league of dolls. Unless he just rides on a Jeep for like forever. Well, it's not just that the back of the ammo was hit, it's that it fully tipped over. That's not something you can just fix. Unless you're going to assume Void Mestina is going to, like, lift it up herself and make it upright. Yeah, the crew deck is like one of the big reasons why I'm not fully convinced that the MO got destroyed. Sabrina. Lewis with one hand, she just lists out the entire ammo. Yeah, it's pretty funny how they had to conveniently write out the ones that would solve the problem. But it is what it is. Yeah, one of the teaser cutscenes that they showed on the live stream was someone's feet. A certain someone's feet. But, okay. I did say that I wanted to end stream early, and I'm glad that I'm able to, because man, I've been streaming so much this week, and I got to do it all over again when 1.5 comes out, and it's probably going to be way longer than part 1. That might take up the entire week, who knows. So I'm going to take just outside the windows on fire. Yeah, I'm going to take the chance to just chill out and relax. So I will see you guys next week, probably. probably next week. Or maybe I'll just wait until 1.5 comes out. We'll see. Alright, you guys take care.